how do you define MVP? I think I've now seen everybody play in the league, I think. And to me, you got the trio of A'ja Wilson, Breanna Stewart, and Napheesa Collier. To me, in my opinion, I feel like those are the best three players I've seen play. And I got to be brutally honest, I think Cailtin Clark is in the top of that next tier. I really do. I think she is a top 5 player in the league right now. She does have her ups and she does have her downs. She does turn the ball over quite a bit. She is leading the league in turnovers, but she has the ball in her hands a ton. And the way that she plays, the way the Fever play, they like to play fast. They like to advance the ball up the floor and transition as quickly as possible. She definitely takes some risks with some of the passes that she does make, but there's a lot of rewards to those passes, but it also does result in more turnovers. It's just the style of play. That style of play will result in more turnovers, but what you hope is that the positives outweigh the negatives, and with her, I think they certainly do. Also, she's had a lot of turnovers this season that really weren't even her fault, where she hit somebody right on the money in transition and they kind of fumble the ball and it goes out of bounds. Well, she's the one that gets credited for that turnover. The turnover thing is a little bit misleading, but it'd still be nice maybe if she can knock one or two less turnovers per game. But again, I honestly think she's right outside that top tier of A'ja Wilson, Breanna Stewart, and Napheesa Collier. I really, really, truly do. When you watch, take away any statistical stuff and just use the eye test. The way she plays, so smooth. The passing, the shooting. She had, in my opinion too. I mean, one knock on her even at Iowa was not a great defensive player. I think she's improved her defense. I think she struggled on the defensive end early on in the season, and a lot of that I think is effort. And I think she's realized at this level, I do need to play some defense as well. And I think she has. I think she's getting better at that. I would say A'ja Wilson is the clear-cut MVP. She's averaging 27 and 12, and she's on a good team. But I think, you got to kind of look at, how do you define MVP, right? How do you define that? Everyone kind of looks at that maybe as a little bit differently. Does MVP mean the best player in the league, or does it mean what it says, most valuable player? So, and then you want to break that down. Well, what does that mean? Are you looking for the player who's most valuable to their team? Is it a team thing? Is it who's the most valuable to the league? I mean, obviously that would be Cailtin Clark. I don't really think you look at it as a league thing. I think, my opinion, what you do is you say, hey, who's the best player on the top echelon of teams, right? Who's the best player on that top echelon of teams? And I think it's probably, like most leagues, a regular season award. So you don't factor in the playoffs. For Cailtin Clark to even be in the discussion, though, for MVP, I do believe her team would need to be above 500. It looks like they will be locked in for the playoffs. Right now they do sit in the 7th out of 8 spots at 13 and 16, but I think they are a lock for the playoffs. But I think if she's going to be in consideration for MVP, which I think at this point, no matter what happens, A'ja Wilson's just had too good of a season to not give her the award. But for Cailtin Clark to be in that conversation, I do think her team does need to be over 500. Now, why would Cailtin Clark be in that conversation? Well, again, it all depends on how do you define most valuable player. I don't believe there's a more valuable player to her team than Cailtin Clark with everything that she does. Scoring, distributing, rebounding too. I mean, she's a great rebounder for a guard. You take her off that team and you're not left with, you still got some good players, Leah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell, but I don't think they're anywhere near a playoff team without Cailtin Clark. So that regard, she measures up pretty valuable. Whereas if you take A'ja Wilson off the Las Vegas Aces, they're still probably a playoff team. So again, it all depends on how you define it. Like I said, the way I would look at it is take that top echelon of teams, then who's the best player on that team? And certainly right now that would be A'ja Wilson. But again, for Cailtin Clark to even be in the conversation, I do think they're going to have to get up above 500.